So the first thing that I would do whenever you get done and are getting started is you want to learn how to navigate the system and see what's in it. So if you click on the three lines up here at the top, that opens the navigation bar and you can see everything that is here. The creating a new note, managing patients, the patient notes, and the diagnosis and system specific and all of the phrases are really the meat and potatoes of Dawn. That's what you're going to be using every day while you're building your notes. But where I would really start is the section under here that says structure your note, because this will give you education on how to structure your note and how the notes are structured in Dawn. So if you click on the structure your note, you will see that it teaches about my heart's structure. This is how I structure all of my notes. This is an acronym that I developed to make it easy to follow. All of the education about hearts and what it means is here, and hearts is the structure that Dawn follows. So you can read about it here. And then when you scroll down, there is also more education. So you can click on each one for detailed education on what each section means and how you will work with each section. So I recommend learning this first and going through that area first. And then you can also look at more documentation tips if you want to. You can read these tips. There's several of them in here, and I will tell y'all that will be adding tips all the time. So this will be updating just randomly throughout every the weeks and months that we have Dawn. That's part of the subscription that you have, is you do get the updated tips and you will get the updated phrases. So then the first thing once you've done that, when you're getting prepared to use Dawn, is you want to add in all of your patients. So this is where you're going to put each patient in. You're going to include that patient header that you'll learn about in the structure your notes section in the hearts. That H stands for header. That is the basic patient information that you want to have on every single one of your notes. When you add in your patients and you add in that header, it stays in there forever. So you can use it for every single note without having to re-add it every single time. When you first do it, it does take a little bit of time. I will admit that it takes a little bit of time, but once it's in there, like I said, it's in there and you don't have to do it again. So the way that you're going to do that is you go to manage patients, and then you're going to add a patient. You just click add a patient. I put my patient initials in here. You can do whatever you prefer with your patient. So we put our patient's initials in here. And then this is where we have to type in the information about the patient specific. I like to use Dawn on my phone, on the app on my phone. While you're doing that, you can have your tablet open so you have your patient information right there in front of you. And this is where you're going to type in Mrs. Minnie Mouse is an 89-year-old white female with a terminal hospice diagnosis of secondary and comorbid conditions that further contribute to decline include, and you're going to put in anything about their living situations. So let me give you, I'm going to show you an example of what this would look like. So here's one that I already have in. If I do this patient, you can see that all of my information is in here about this patient, her diagnoses, and a good statement about her living situation and a statement that helps to support eligibility. So right now we don't have those statements in Dawn, but that's something that I'm going to be adding in the next couple of weeks. So you will have some header statements that you can choose from. But for now, you'll type it in. And then this stays in here forever. And then you update it. So every single one of our patients has all of their notes in there. And again, remember when we're typing out their diagnoses, we're going to use the full word, not the acronyms. We're going for effect here with that, but you only have to do it one time. So once you're done with that, then it's much easier. When you go to build your note, you're going to click create new note. Then you just pick your patient, and there is your patient with the header in there. And so see, you don't have to type that again because it's already in there. You're going to enter the encounter section. This is where you're going to type what you did that visit. This is very specific to each visit. Go back in when you look at the structure and notes section and read about what you put in your encounter note. That's what would go here. So I'm not going to type anything in here because I'm not doing a real encounter, but I would put all of that here. Then when you go to the assess section, this is the section in the heart structure where you provide an assessment of the system that is related to the patient's diagnosis. So this patient is on for COPD. So in this assess section, I'm going to do a pulmonary assessment. So I'm going to now go into DAHN, click on this here. I'm going to my diagnosis specific, and I'm going to look at pulmonary because she's on for pulmonary disease, and I'm going to do my pulmonary or respiratory assessment. So I'm going to click on that here, and I'm going to pick one of these that best meets my patient. Now, remember, just because you pick these and copy them in, you can still edit them. So get whatever is closest and whatever you like the best. Like, let's say, for instance, number 2, everything in number 2 is perfect for my patient. My patient doesn't have fibrosis, she has COPD, but I'm still going to pick this one. I'm going to click it. I'm going to copy text. I go back to my note. It takes me back to this section, and I'm going to just paste it in right here. And I'm going to change the pulmonary fibrosis to advanced pulmonary disease. And let's say your patient doesn't require 6 liters of oxygen, they're on 4 liters. And I will put that in there. Now, let's say I want to add a little bit more. I want to amp this one up a little bit. We're getting close to research time. So I'm going to click here, and I can now go back into DAHN. And instead of diagnosis specific, I go to system specific, because this section, as we learned earlier, lists just a bunch of stuff that you can list. So I'm going to go respiratory, and I'm going to go to the assessment phrases. This first part is just teaching you key principles, but then go to assessment phrases, and I'm going to say, well, she struggles to speak 3 to 4 words. She's got pursed lip breathing, and she's unable to walk more than just a few steps. I'm going to put all of that in there because I want to really beef it up. And look, we have a lot of stuff you can choose from here. But I pick those, and then I click copy text, back to note. And I'm going to go back into my still assessment because that's where I'm adding this up at. And I'm going to paste them in. Now, you do have to bring them together because they do come up as little separate statements. And I like to put mine all in that same paragraph. But that's all you have to do for that. So now you have a really comprehensive, great note pulmonary assessment that is going to support eligibility for your COPD patient. Then we're going to go to our reinforcement section. Now, this is where I can do something that is directly related to the COPD, or anything that supports decline and eligibility and gives that good picture of this very sick, terminally ill patient that we're taking care of. So I'm going to go back to this point. I'm going to do diagnosis specific. That way I know when I go pulmonary disease that every single thing in here is going to support eligibility for a patient who's on for a pulmonary disease. So let's just pick neurological. And let's say that I like number 1. I'll read through this, whatever supports it. This patient frequently loses track of conversation, requires repeated redirection, neurological decline is evident. And this is directly related to their COPD. So I'm going to click this one, copy text, back to note, and I'm going to put it in here under my reinforcement section. If you wanted to change anything in here, you could take something out or add something if you wanted to. Now for the targeted QA, this is if you are having to do extra quality notes. If your company requires that you document pain or nutrition in your nurse's note, you would do that here. If you're under any kind of performance improvement with your company right now, you would document whatever those requirements are here. So let's say that I just want to do nutrition. Then I'm going to go back into here. Now I'm still going to pick diagnosis specific because I want my note to be specific to pulmonary disease. And I'm going to pick my nutritional note. So anything that we have here is going to support eligibility for somebody who's on for a pulmonary disease. So I'm going to pick number 1, and remember I can edit it. So I'm going to pick number 1, copy text, back to my note. I'm going to put that in here. And let's say though my patient is unable to consume more than 30% of meals, I might say more than 50% for my patient. So I'll edit that part. And then in the summary, now you're going to end it. This is where you learn about the summary in the Hearts training on the other part of the app, where you're going to put the ending note. We don't have any summary notes in Dawn yet, but that's coming pretty soon too. I'm working on that right now. So I would think in the next few weeks we'll have some summary notes, but this is where you say that current hospice plan of care is meeting patient and caregiver needs. Patient has sufficient amount of medications and supplies. Patient verbalized understanding to call hospice. All of those things are what you put in the summary. So, you know, I'm not going to, you type that in here and then you add your note. And so now you can go and look at your note and see what you have in here. You have a beautiful note in here that will support eligibility for your patient. Let me show you a note where I have everything in it. Let's look at this note where this was a visit, and you can see the encounter and what I put in for the encounter, the assessment, the reinforcement note, and the ending note. So when you want to add that note, all you have to do, which anyone that you want to do, is you will just click the copy, and you can actually go out of the system if you go into your EMR, and you can paste it into your EMR. And you see here is your note pasted perfectly into your EMR. So then the note is in your EMR. So then that's all you do. So that note lives in your system for as long as you want to. When you go back to see that patient again, you can either edit your direct note, so you can just change your assessments if you want to do that, change your targeted, or you can build a whole new note, whichever you want to do. So you can copy the note directly from here too if you wanted to. So that is how you use Dawn. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you how you can toggle Dawn into, if you're using something like Home Care Home Base or a tablet-based system.